folks, it's Amy from Colorado Mountain Living. You might not recognize where I am right now in the house. Kind of looks like a new area. And I'm going to explain that because it all came about because of our electrical inspection. So I want to tell you a little story about how our electrical inspection went. There's a little bit of drama there. So last week we had our final inspection. I called it in and the inspector came out, but it didn't go super smoothly. So what happened with the situation was that the inspector came in and, we are expecting a couple of things to be off. Like we're not, we did our research and we talked to our neighbors and we were looking into all the little things that they look for in an inspection. And then, I kind of expected there would be things that we missed. And there was, a few little things like making sure that there was a foam seal around the exterior lighting. Like there was a couple little things that we did miss. But when we got further into the inspection, I could tell that the inspector was getting a little bit nervous, thinking that he was seeing things that should have been caught in the rough inspection. And he was asking me questions like, who did your rough inspection? And it turned out that he obviously knew who did it because the person doing our final inspection was the supervisor of the state. So it would have been one of his employees that would have done the rough inspection. But it turns out that the rough inspection missed quite a few things that we were unaware of because we got a pass on our rough inspection. So because we were passed, it put the inspector in a rough spot because he couldn't give us a pass on the final inspection with items that were incorrect on the rough inspection. So, right away I'm feeling really nervous that there's a lot of work that needs to be done suddenly and we're running out of time. It's almost the end of the year and we want to be wrapped up with this, right? So, fortunately, our inspector was kind of seeing our situation and realizing that the reason that we weren't prepared, half of it wasn't our fault because it was missed on that rough inspection. He decided to give me a walkthrough and kind of pointed out the areas that he really wanted to see resolved. And what he said specifically was, if you can fix all of this stuff and cancel this current inspection on the website, go to the website, hit cancel for the current inspection that we're literally here for, that way you won't be charged for a re-inspection fee and I can come back and do that final inspection again. So let me show you guys what all we had to fix in a short amount of time, just 1 week amount of time, because we're trying to wrap things up, right? And that sort of led to this new room of the house. And if I scroll out, I'll show you that the room that we're in currently is actually the basement. Right? So here's the basement doors. And still got some snowshoes on the wall, but we've got one of Brian's finished wall here, one of his accent walls. This is where he's going to put all of his bicycling stuff to showcase it. So a nice finished cedar wall, and Brian used fence slats for the wood here. So that's what all this woodworking is cedar fence slats. Much cheaper than finished cedar planking. Had we known that, we would have probably done our closets that way. But so one of the things that the inspector mentioned was that he really wanted to see the rough wiring all covered up. Now, it didn't have to be covered up with full wall. He said we could get by with just 6 inches over the exterior of the wiring. And now that was our own fault for not understanding that. We had just talked to our neighbors about, because they have an unfinished room in their house, the unfinished upstairs, and they said they do not have drywall. So I thought that meant that we could just have the wires out. But the inspector said he definitely wanted drywall or some other covering to cover up all of the wires. Now, if it's over 6 feet tall, it doesn't matter. So the wiring for the lights up in the flooring doesn't matter if it's over 6 feet. But anything under 6 feet needed to have a 6-inch strip. Well, Brian thought, why waste all the drywall with 6 inches when we could just finish the basement? So this past week has been completely consumed with working on finishing the basement. We have one of our friends, also named Brian, helping out. He's very experienced with drywall and finishing work. Him and Brian worked all last weekend on putting up drywall. This morning I helped out a little bit, lifting boards, helping our friend to finish out the basement here. All of our belongings in the middle of the room, but you can see even where the mechanical room is finished, that half wall that was there, walking into that room as well. So there's still a couple more pieces that need to go up, but the wall's completely, it's hard to recognize where you're at when you've seen videos of the basement, and usually there's just a bunch of crap in the way. But so that wall's completely finished, and looking into the mechanical room, one of the other things he wanted was to make the cord from the furnace down to where it was connected under 6 feet. So it was over 6 feet, and he wanted to have that less than 6 feet in length. He wanted to also double check on GFI breakers, but we were pretty much in line with that. Because there's a sink in this room, he wanted to make sure the outlets that were in this room were GFI. So we did make a switch on the bottom two outlets down here, switching those up to GFI. So what else did we have to work on? We did have some junction boxes that needed covers. That was on the list. But the time-consuming things, besides the drywall, we hired an electrician last minute because the inspector required a floor outlet in the kitchen. He didn't really explain, and maybe some of you electricians and the viewers might be able to explain why we needed one right here. But, we explained how we had one right there, right behind the trash can, but he said he needed one in the floor. So I'm not sure if that's because it's kitchen or if it's because it's in the stairwell, but he needed that in the floor. So got a little video of Brian working on cutting holes in our nice little wood floor here to put the box in, and we had an electrician do the wiring. The other big thing was he needed to have the egress lighting for the stairwell. The lighting, it needed to be specific to the stairwell and not just loft lighting. What we have, up in the loft, we got a light up there, but that's not enough for lighting the stairwell. So that had to be installed. We had the wiring because we do plan to have stairwell lighting. That's coming with Brian's design of the staircase. But because it's not finished, that means we missed having the stairwell lighting. So we needed to have that separate. We'll probably take this out once we add in the spiral staircase. So it's a three-way switch. There's one up in the loft, up there, wherever that is. There's a switch back there. There's a switch right here, and then there's a switch down in the basement for the lighting, so that's done. He also wanted to make sure we had a hallway outlet. Now, we had one, but we had to blank it out because it's on the other side of this hand railing. So it's inside of the stairwell, and the inspector said you were not allowed to reach over an entrance to use a plug, an outlet. So we had to blank that off and install one over here. So that was the other thing we had to do. Also in the kitchen, we had to blank off this outlet. He said because the outlet is cut due to the cabinets being there and due to the fact that this is not a permanent kitchen, these cabinets will be gone in a few years and we will turn this into another room. But he said you cannot have a working outlet with a cut cover that voids the warranty or the safety rating of it. And so he said the best bet is just to blank that out, have no outlet there, and that way when you cut the cover, it doesn't matter. That was another thing we had to fix. Outside, we did have a mistake on there's Vigo. The outlet covers needed to have clear see-through and a place where you can drop your cord. So it's completely weatherproofed for rain. You can't just be using weatherproof outlets. Rated outlets, they have to actually have this cover on them. So we missed the cover. That was our mistake. And likewise with the outlet in the floor upstairs, we needed to add one on the floor. This is probably the hardest one for us to accept. So again, we had to add floor box here because of the distance, right? So our closest outlet is on the wall over there. We needed to have one within 6 feet of the stairwell. There is one on this side, but there is not one on this side because of the way that the railing is. So there is no wall over here. So thus, he said we had to have one in the floor. Kind of sad drilling into the floor, cutting into the floor. Brian did chip the wood a little bit, and I'm going to have to stain that. But I'll show you the video of Brian installing that in a minute. But what we were able to do to avoid lots of unnecessary drilling was where we put it in the floor. If I kind of show you right underneath the floor here, we were able to drop it right into this angle of the wall of the closet. See the outlet down there? That's where it's almost completely, perfectly inside the drywall of this wall. And so we were able to just drop it down there, and the electrician was able to wire it. And he was able to tie this one into the outlet that's on this side of the closet. Now, the inspector did ding us on this outlet because of the wood being over the drywall. It creates a gap. So he said that we needed a spark ring to extend the junction box back there, or the receptacle that's behind there. And we had to add that for this outlet, for the back side of the closet here, where we've got the wood. And also up in the loft, the light switch that's hard to see, but the light switch that's in the wood also needed it there because it was mounted onto the wood to make it more flush. And those were really the big things. He also requested, same for the vanity, you will have a spark ring installed to bring the junction box more flush to the board there. So there was definitely some things that needed to be done. Because the shower is unfinished, we had to put up, as you can see, cement board here, just temporary to cover the wiring from the light. So the wiring for the light, we've got covered up there. So he wanted to also make sure that because the fan was over the tub, that he wanted to make sure everything was on a GFI circuit, and it is. We just had to verify that with him. Trying to think what else there was on the list. I was taking furious notes while we were walking around, so I really wouldn't forget. So we got the lighting, we got the foam around the exterior lights, we blanked out the receptacles that were invalid, put the spark rings in for the receptacles that had the additional recessing because they were mounted in wood. One more thing. This was silly that we probably should have researched. So we had to change out our lighting fixtures in the closet because, so you can see there's glass around them. The one in the toilet is okay because it's not a closet. But you see how it's just wire around a bulb. And that is not code because of if a bulb was to ever break, sparks could come out the side in between the wire and ignite clothing in a closet situation. So we had to take down these fixtures in both closets, the linen closets, and put in a glass fixture. So here's the linen closet with the glass fixture. So that was something that would have been not a rough inspection, but a final inspection fail. But fortunately for us, he was willing to work with us. Oh, and also I'd forgotten downstairs that our water pump wasn't labeled as a water pump. So we have an on-off pump switch, and that needed to be labeled. So yeah, definitely a lot of drama in the past week. It's been kind of hard to document everything because we've been working so hard. I was gone all weekend doing a craft show, so I didn't really even get to help out at all Saturday and Sunday, other than earn some money to help pay for all of these things that we need to pay off now. And you know, it's just one of those things that you find out later that you're in for more than what you bargained for. So, you know, we thought we were in the clear and there would be just a few easy things to fix for the final inspection, but it turned out that we were in for a heck of a lot more work, including almost finishing the entire basement. Now, we probably didn't have to finish the entire basement to be ready for that final inspection that we're going to redo, but you know, it's the opportunity is there. All of our belongings are out of the way. We had the drywall on hand. We've got someone helping us that's, you know, working to help us finish this out. So it's like, why not take advantage of the situation and just completely finish out the basement while we got that opportunity? So I guess the blessing in disguise is that, you know, yeah, we didn't get to finish up our electrical inspection in a timely manner, but one, the inspector is not charging us for a reinspection fee. He's giving us a freebie. He gave me a free walkthrough of the whole house and told me exactly what to fix. So now when we do the reinspection, which is tomorrow, hoping that it's just, you know, I'm just going to go down the list of everything he said and we'll be good. So, and that will be clear us for our final house inspection, which we want to get done hopefully by the end of this week as well. So there's definitely some exciting things to come, you know, as far as being done with certain phases. You know, we still have more work to do, of course. The stairwell is going to be a huge job. You know, finishing up the bathroom, you know, we had to put that vanity on hold because of the drywall job in the basement. So, yeah, we didn't really, you know, what we're going to do is take the sink in the basement, bring it upstairs to be our sink in the bathroom on the temporary, so we can do our final house inspection, and then Brian can finish the vanity when we've got the time to do that. But right now, some other things are taking precedence, and we just want to get done with the technicality so we can kind of move on. But in the meantime, I'm definitely enjoying this new look in the basement because, let me show you guys, it's definitely a sharp look. I mean, that accent wall is pretty cool. And just to imagine that this room, you know, could be painted by next week. It's kind of cool. And I have to say one thing. We definitely have plenty of outlets. No shortage of outlets in this house. That's for sure.